We just talked about following the money. Case in point, President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump both launched their own meme coins this weekend. And I know you might be thinking, I don't know anything about crypto, I don't care, but maybe you should. So let's discuss it with Ron Insana, CNBC senior analyst and CEO of iFi.ai, and Jeff Stein, White House economics reporter for The Washington Post. Let's start right there, because lots of people don't pay attention. But here we are. We're on the eve of the inauguration. Donald Trump and the First Lady launch their own crypto coins that then on paper, they're pocketing billions of dollars. Yep. Why is this important to the average American who could say, I'm not involved in crypto, what do I care?
Well, it is a way for anyone to funnel money to anyone else, whether it is the president of the United States, who has a meme coin, one of which was called Trump, one of which was called Melania. And if you own the wallet, or 80% of the wallet in which this meme coin functions, you get 80% of the value, the market value of that meme coin, which at its peak for President Trump was $72 billion. His stake was worth over $50 billion, which put him among the top 25 wealthiest people in the world for the time that it was held at that value. It promptly fell 40% after the Melania coin came out, which was then
okay, but just stop.
Billions
so again, for the average person, they're saying, why is this happening? Why is it legal? And also, what if they say, well, let him make all the money in the world. Why should it matter to me?
Well, I think it should matter because it's a way to potentially at least curry favor with someone in power. I happen to not believe that crypto has a functional value, whether it's Bitcoin or whether it's a meme coin. And so to me, it's all part of a speculative frenzy that has now reached its zenith. But another reason why people might want to pay attention to it, because to me, it does seem like a speculative mania, the likes of which we've not seen in financial market history.
But of course, if it gets large enough, it could end up too big to fail, which would be stunning for a purely speculative medium. Yep. Jeff, let's talk about DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. You have been covering it since its inception, since Donald Trump created it, made Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy the co-heads. Vivek has now exited stage left even before Donald Trump was sworn in. But now it's go time. What should we expect?
Well, we got our first DOGE executive order tonight from the Trump White House. And I think the thing that I'm really paying attention to, that I've been really interested in among many other parts of this debate, is what is Elon's role exactly? Because when this was first announced, remember, they said this was going to operate, that Musk and Ramaswamy would be giving advice to the government, which is pretty normal, right? We have lots of think tanks, we have lots of, apparatuses in Washington that say you should cut this or that, or regulation or spending program. But today, what we learned is that Musk is going to be operating from inside the White House. And yet, despite being a government official, it seems like, for all intents and purposes, sounds like from my reporting that they're going to have access to sort of privileged information, classified information within the government. Musk is not going through the normal procedures of disclosure and other things that you would have to do normally to get there. And I empathize with your question, Stephanie, because it's like, we've been doing this for so long now that I think people are like, does anyone care? Does this matter? And I think we're all kind of wrestling with that sort of uncertainty and that sort of doubt. But we're still at the very, 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 very beginning of this. And the country may have elected Trump, but are they going to be supportive, or is there going to be mass levels of discontent over this degree of a billionaire who helped influence the election with his private money, using it for his personal gain? Just because Trump won the election doesn't mean that we should, let that go or stop paying attention.
But that's the thing. People don't care or don't pay attention when they don't think it impacts their life. When they think, fine, if he wants to do something, what do I care? What could the impact be? Because, right, so Donald Trump is out there saying we need to actually, no, let me change the question. He actually signed an executive order today that says he wants agencies to take emergency measures to reduce the cost of living for Americans, right? And that headline is one that will be met with huge support and applause from the American people. Like, yes, I want that big fat government to stop spending so much to make my life more affordable. But how does that actually happen besides Donald Trump signing his name on a piece of paper?
I have no idea. I mean, there is no executive order that can roll back prices. I mean, if that were possible, President Biden would have done it when inflation was, at one juncture over 9% for consumer prices. I don't know that there's a mechanism in place in which businesses would roll back their prices based on an executive order. I don't know how you get egg prices down with the bird flu expanding around the United States and chickens being culled and reducing the available supply of eggs in the United States or any other product that may be in short supply. I don't know how you do that. I don't know what agency is actually tasked or could be tasked with doing that. President Nixon imposed wage and price controls in the early 1970s when inflation was raging. Didn't work. And in fact, when they were lifted, inflation accelerated, didn't decelerate. So I have no idea how that would work.
Okay, but could Donald Trump influence businesses, right? Maybe, I wasn't talking about he didn't have the CEO of Kroger sitting next to him today, but we have been talking about all these big business people that are cozying up to Donald Trump because they want to curry favors from him. What about what favors he wants? Besides getting big donations, is there anything he could get, right? He had CEOs of Google and Apple at the inauguration today. Could he turn around to them and say, I'd like you to change the wording on your maps. I'd like it to now say Gulf of America, not Gulf of Mexico. Could he ask that of Sundar Pichai, of Tim Cook?
Sure. It doesn't reduce consumer prices, though. It doesn't do anything for anybody. I mean, could he ask Tim Cook of Apple to lower the price of an iPhone? Doubt that's going to happen. Or if he's going to impose, as he said on February 1st, 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico, that will make consumer prices go up from everything from oil to lumber to avocados to agricultural goods. And so we're working at cross purposes here. If on the one hand you have a mandate, or I should say a dictate to lower prices, and on the other hand you're slapping taxes or tariffs on incoming imports, that's not going to work out the way you want it to.
Jeff, the president cares about the Gulf of Mexico and he cares about the Panama Canal so much that he thinks we should buy it because he's concerned that China has control of it. Yet, let's just talk for a moment about what has happened with TikTok. Donald Trump is so interested in TikTok staying as an app operating in the United States of America. This is a company that is Chinese based. And what we saw happen over the last 4 days, Joe Biden punted on this. Joe Biden didn't shut TikTok down. Democrats and Republicans voted on it. They voted to ban it. The Supreme Court upheld it. Joe Biden said it's on Donald Trump's lap. TikTok then put on a show for all the world to see and went dark, made no money for a day. So they could then gift Donald Trump with the ability to say, America, I'm going to be the outlaw president who's going to fix this for you and bring this app back. What does this tell us about his priorities when it comes to national security and anything else? Because there was a reason, whether I like it or not, that TikTok was banned. And Donald Trump has no problem with that. But he's got a problem with China when it comes to the Panama Canal, which isn't very popular with the youngs.
I'm not sure I totally agree with your characterization there. I think Democrats made a conscious choice to prioritize national security over an app that is quite popular. And that was a decision that they are now living with and in some instances, I think, ruin. On your point about what Trump wants to do with it, I think his answer here, it's the kind of thing that Trump does that a traditional Republican would definitely not. But today from the Oval Office, he said, I'm thinking that if this company needs the U.S. president's approval to survive, why don't we get a chunk of it? And some people might look at that and say, that sounds like a mob boss shakedown. Like, that's no way to treat FDII that you'd see in a textbook about how government relations should work. But at the same time, if the U.S. government could recoup billions of dollars as a precondition for keeping this app alive, I mean, who knows? It's the kind of thing, though, that is more, you would normally see like a Norway or a Sweden try to do instead of a U.S. president or a conservative or a Republican.